That a lot of my career doesn't make any sense if you're looking at it just in terms of success or taste. But I was always trying to really explore acting in the most extreme circumstances. And I don't have any regrets, but what I would do over again is sort of secure my position in a couple of places.
Actor Val Kilmer has passed away at the age of 65. For decades, he was more than just a movie star. He was a force of nature on screen. Known for unforgettable performances in Top Gun, The Doors, Tombstone, and so many others. But Val wasn't only defined by the characters he played. He was a true artist, someone who poured his entire heart and soul into his work. And while the news of his passing has shaken the entertainment world, what really touched millions wasn't just the headlines. It was the deeply emotional farewell shared by his ex-wife, actress Joanne Whalley. Her words felt like more than a statement. They were like a final love letter.
The gray suit, initially he had this kind of smart black.
Then I did what Robert said. It's my date. Did you know that?
Oh, wow. It's always good to spring it on me after the fact.
It's real love. It's man love.
Resonating with anyone who had ever followed their journey together. Before we get to that moment, that powerful message that broke hearts across the globe, let's take a step back and remember the man behind the legend. Long before red carpets and blockbuster movie sets, Val Kilmer was just a kid with a dream. Born in Los Angeles in 1959, he grew up right in the heart of the entertainment industry. But life didn't start easy for him. Tragedy struck early. Val's younger brother, Wesley, shared his love for filmmaking and creativity. But when they were still children, Wesley tragically drowned. That devastating loss left a lasting scar on Val's heart. Instead of shutting down, Val turned to his imagination and performance as a way to cope, to heal, and to honor the memory of his brother. At the age of 9,
You're ready.
Yes, I have an answer for us. It's been a while.
Oh, you look great.
life shifted again when his parents divorced. It created instability at home, but it also seemed to fuel his determination to make something of himself. At Chatsworth High School, he crossed paths with future stars like Kevin Spacey and Mare Winningham. Even then, Val stood out. It wasn't just his striking looks, it was his intensity, his seriousness about the craft of acting. That commitment paid off in a big way. At just 17 years old, Val became the youngest person ever accepted into the prestigious Juilliard School's drama division. For any actor, getting into Juilliard was a huge accomplishment, but doing it as a teenager was almost unheard of. Juilliard was tough, competitive, and not for the faint of heart. But Val thrived there. Classmates remembered how he would spend endless hours rehearsing scenes. Reworking lines and studying characters until he understood them inside and out. He wasn't chasing fame, he was chasing truth in his performances. That dedication would stay with him for his entire career. Hollywood didn't know it yet, but a storm was brewing, and his name was Val Kilmer. In 1984, he made his film debut in the comedy Top Secret, a goofy, satirical spy spoof that let him flex both his comedic skills and his singing talent. He played a rock and roll spy and even performed his own vocals for the film. Even in a light-hearted role, Val committed 100%, 2 years. Later came the movie that put him firmly on Hollywood's radar, Top Gun 1986. Interestingly, Val didn't initially want the role of Iceman. He thought the script was thin and the character was underdeveloped. But due to his contractual obligations, he took the part anyway.
I have to say, it's been amazing. I didn't actually realize that
this went on. I mean, the number of fans, the amount of joy and love they have, and the level of involvement and engagement, and they have real power, and there's a real relationship, and it's been kind of incredible. So I've actually very much enjoyed it.
What followed was movie history. Opposite Tom Cruise, Val created one of cinema's most iconic rivalries. His cool, confident, almost icy performance became legendary. Audiences loved the swagger, the smirk, and the subtle hints that Iceman might actually respect his rival more than he let on. From there, Val began proving us how deep his acting could go. In The Doors, 1991, he completely transformed into rock legend Jim Morrison. Once again, he did all of his own singing, and his performance was so eerily accurate that even surviving members of The Doors had trouble telling his voice from Morrison's. He studied Morrison's poetry, his habits, his personal struggles, immersing himself so completely that he seemed to become Morrison. Then came Tombstone 1993, where Val delivered what many consider one of the greatest supporting performances in Western film history. His portrayal of Doc Holliday was witty, layered, and unforgettable. His delivery of the now famous line, "I'm your Huckleberry," is still quoted today. Decades later. In Thunderheart 1992, he played an FBI agent reconnecting with his Native American roots, in a film praised for its meaningful themes and heartfelt storytelling. And in Heat 1995, he stood toe-to-toe with acting giants Al Pacino and Robert De Niro, proving he could hold his own in intense, dramatic scenes. Of course, one of his most high-pressure roles was stepping into the cape and cowl for Batman Forever 1995. Following Michael Keaton as Batman was no easy task, and Val knew the expectations were massive. He brought a more introspective, psychological take to Bruce Wayne, focusing on the loneliness behind the mask. While the film was a box office success, behind the scenes, Val clashed with director Joel Schumacher. Still, his version of Batman remains memorable for fans. While the public saw Val, a rising star, a darker chapter was beginning quietly behind closed doors. Around 2014, fans began noticing something different. His voice sounded weaker. His face looked thinner. Rumors began to swirl. But Val stayed silent, avoiding the topic in interviews. Privately, he was fighting throat cancer. It was a battle he kept hidden for years. In 2017, he finally confirmed it publicly. The treatments were grueling: radiation, chemotherapy, and tracheostomies. The procedures left his voice severely damaged and speaking became difficult. Eating was a challenge for a man whose life and career had been built on expression. This was a crushing blow. His career slowed down. Roles became scarce. Some directors didn't know how to cast him anymore. Hollywood, in many ways, moved on, but Val didn't. Even as his health changed, his passion for creativity didn't fade. Instead of retreating from the public eye, Val did something extraordinary. He turned the camera on himself. In 2021, he released a documentary simply titled Val. It wasn't a glossy, PR-managed film. It was raw, intimate, and deeply personal. Val had been filming his life for decades, from his early days as a drama student to behind-the-scenes moments on major film sets. He had an archive of hundreds of hours of footage, and he used it to tell his story on his own terms. Because Val could no longer narrate in his own voice, his son Jack stepped in, reading his father's words. The effect was powerful. Audiences didn't just see the star, they saw the man, vulnerable, funny, resilient, and still full of love for his craft. The film showed Val making peace with his past, the fame, the struggles, the illness. He wasn't living in regret, he was living in acceptance. That honesty connected with a new generation of fans who admired not just his work, but his strength. One person who knew Val better than most was his ex-wife, Joanne Whalley. The two met in the late 1980s while filming the fantasy adventure Willow. For a time, they were Hollywood's quiet power couple. No scandals, no messy headlines, just to actors raising a family together. They had 2 children, Mercedes and Jack. Even after divorcing in 1996, they stayed close, co-parenting with respect and kindness. Over time, their relationship evolved into something deeper than friendship, a bond built on shared history and genuine care. In Val's final days, Joanne was there. Not for publicity, not for attention, just for him. Away from cameras and crowds, they shared a quiet goodbye. Then came her message, through a friend. She shared a single, heartfelt line: "You were the brightest light in every room, and even now, I still see you shining." Those words didn't sound rehearsed. They didn't feel like they came from a press release. They felt real. They reminded the world that behind the Hollywood fame, behind the Batman mask and the Iceman smirk, Val Kilmer was simply a man, loved deeply by someone who knew his true self. Once news of Val's passing broke, the tributes poured in. Tom Cruise, who had reunited with him in Top Gun, Maverick, called him a legend and a gentleman. Robert Downey Jr. described him as one of the most honest performers I ever saw work. Even actors from smaller projects he had worked on came forward to share stories of his generosity and dedication. Fans took to social media, posting their favorite scenes, sharing personal stories of meeting him, and creating artwork in his honor. Editors compiled montages of his most iconic roles. That famous "I'm Your Huckleberry" clip resurfaced again and again. Joel Schumacher, who once directed him in Batman Forever, had described Val as haunted and beautiful in every role he played. That quote was shared thousands of times in the days following his passing. But perhaps the most moving tributes came from everyday people. Moviegoers who said his performances helped them through hard times. Viewers who felt seen in the characters he played. People who admired the way he faced illness with quiet strength. Val Kilmer's legacy isn't just about box office numbers or award nominations. It's about the way he made people feel. He wasn't perfect. He made mistakes. He lived boldly, sometimes clashing with others, but he stayed true to himself. Whether he was playing a fearless gunslinger, a troubled rock star, or a stoic fighter pilot, he brought depth, honesty, and humanity to every role. Even in his final years, when illness changed his voice and appearance, he showed the world that art isn't about perfection, it's about truth. And that's something Val Kilmer gave us, over and over again. So now, I want to hear from you. What's your favorite Val Kilmer moment? Was it Iceman squaring off with Maverick? Doc Holliday staring down his enemies? Or maybe something quieter, a scene that touched you personally? Rest in peace. Val, you were, and always will be, unforgettable.